You think your mom's in town, you can get away with anything? Okay. Okay. Am I recording?
Yes, it's fine. I'll edit out.
You know, this side's much better. Maybe I should sit in the other chair.
Do you think so?
Okay, go.
Okay. First, I have to introduce myself, and you introduce yourself as owner, but also just introduce yourself as a manager, because you are the only manager.
Okay.
Okay. So, Alvaro, my name is Tom. It's nice to meet with you today.
Nice to meet you.
Could you start by telling me about your ownership of the Bella Candela?
I've owned Bella Candela for 15 years, and I've also been the manager. So I'm an owner-operator.
Owner and operator. Okay. What I'd like to talk to you about today is an area in the workplace regarding the managing of people, so human resources. I have a couple of questions. First off, people nowadays, they tend to be focused on finding interesting work and being treated with respect. In your workplace, how would you motivate and manage those who are looking for good recognition and a feeling of accomplishment?
I often make sure that I stay in touch with the employees as to what their career goals are, what their personal interests are, and I try to make sure that I allow for the flexibility for them to pursue those careers and hobbies. Excellent.
So you feel that like self-development in the workplace is something that's very important?
Absolutely.
Okay. It's known that Canadian workers have been protected by various employment laws, as we all know, and part of a manager's job is to make sure their employees are treated properly. As a manager, how would you ensure that your work environment is free from problems related to harassment and discrimination among employees?
Because I'm the owner, operator, and manager, any sort of issue that comes up of that nature comes directly to me, so I make sure that I deal with it accordingly.
Okay.
Oh, God!
Okay. Employee empowerment is considered as one of the key aspects to lead an organization to success. While some organizations are having difficulty instilling the concept of employee empowerment, if you're willing to give your employees more control over their work and your business, what would be the most ideal consequence that you are looking for?
Ideally, they would be able to fill weaknesses that I have by using their strengths that may be my weaknesses. And also, when they have a sense of ownership, they take more responsibility in their own work.
Okay. Moving on to when you're doing your hiring, speaking specifically on recruiting, what kind of strategies do you use when recruiting for potential employees, and what do you feel is most effective?
I don't have a structured interview process, so I usually talk to the person. I explain to them who we are, what kind of organization we are, what's important to me, and usually I have basically what I consider a 2-week interview process in which they come to work and I just test them out and see how they function within the work environment, if they become part of the team or not.
Okay, so to elaborate on that, what sorts of training procedures do you implement within those 2-week spans for the successful candidate from recruitment?
Most of the training in this restaurant is organic. People just learn from other employees.
Okay.
Most of the employees are working within a system that was developed years and years ago, and they basically just get shown the ropes as we go along. We don't have a formal training program.
Okay. If you were to give these employees and also your long-term employees some sort of performance review, how do you assess that type of scenario? How do you provide feedback to your employees in terms of their performance in the workplace?
Well, usually any feedback that they receive is based on whether or not they're fulfilling their duties and how that affects the business in general. So, for example, if an employee takes extra care to clean the front of the restaurant, which is the first thing a potential customer would see, I try to take notice of that and thank them. And if they don't clean the front of the restaurant, then I explain to them that because they haven't cleaned the front of the restaurant, people aren't coming in, which means we don't have business, which means they won't have work.
Okay. So to move forward from there, one of the difficult areas for a manager and an employer to deal with is regarding the rewarding of employees. And what do you feel is effective and ineffective? What methods of rewarding do you use?
Over the years, I found the monetary rewards don't really carry much weight.
Absolutely.
I think that a sincere thank you or taking the time to really understand the needs and wants of each individual employee goes a lot further than actually trying to reward an action just so that they get it done.
Okay. And as in a managerial role, when you are in this position, describe some ways in which you support groups or people within your organization who are concerned with health and safety matters when they arise.
Well, usually if there's any health or safety matters that arise, they're dealt with immediately. If it's something that we need to bring in extra help for, we'll bring them in, but usually we can resolve the issues on our own. And if for example, an employee has an allergy to latex gloves, we would perhaps look for a different type of glove that would be suitable.
In what ways do you act or behave so your employees feel that their rights are acknowledged and well respected within the workplace?
Sorry, can you ask that one?
In what ways do you act or behave so that your employees feel that their rights within the workplace are acknowledged?
I think I'm always careful to make sure that, I say hello to all my employees, I say goodbye to all my employees, I thank them for the work they do, and again, I take interest in their personal lives and outside of the workplace. But
more specifically, to sort of feel like you acknowledge their rights, so we're talking whether it's going over what their rights are as an employee or posting up employment standards on the wall or something like that. How do you deal with that situation when it comes up to make them feel like this is being acknowledged?
Well, I've often referred employees to the labor relations web pages if they have an issue, and I usually operate the business in a sense of in a way of mutual respect. So if I feel that an employee is being disrespected, either by myself or by another fellow employee, or that person is being disrespectful, I do bring it up right away.
Okay. And then lastly, what's your view on unions, as you don't employ unionized labor force?
I don't think that unions work in the restaurant atmosphere, primarily because you need the flexibility to manage the labor costs and the food costs. I think labor standards are sufficient. They're high in this country, and I don't think that it's necessary to form a union in order for a restaurant to operate.
Okay. If your employees were to form a union and move forward on it, how would you handle the situation?
I think if my employees were to form a union, I would look at the costs involved, and if they were prohibitively high, or if I found that I was becoming the employee and they were becoming the boss, I would probably close the business.
Okay, understandable. Okay, well, thank you very much for your time, Al.
Thank you, Tom.
It's a pleasure.
A pleasure.
Sweet.
I'm going to be on the news.